welcome to another edition where we going through we go through the volume of the book, but we're going on about with us to where we're going to make sure that we're going to be going through the volume of the book, and we need to see what is being precept to where we can understand exactly what the Bible is saying. So I want to welcome you to King James Bible University, but this is actually going to be moving over to Precept Mastery, where it should be. I'm Elder Michael Johnson, which will be going through the Bible, where we'll be precepting the Bible and making sure what is going on in the Bible to where we completely understand. So we're going to get ready. We're going to start setting up, and we do have other people who might want to go through the Bible with us, which you can also go to the moab.com, and you can actually get the Bible version on what we're using. And you can actually start going through exactly with us, and you can start walking through the Bible with us, and you will actually be precepting your own Bible. Technically what is happening. So without further, because we have a lot of stuff we got to go through, and we're going to be shocked, because I know a lot of people want to go through verse 11 and verse 12, but we're going to be shocked on a lot of stuff we're going to find out. So let's get ready. We're going to start going through this, and we're going to set up, and we need to set all this up into where I'm going to get myself out of the way, and we're going to start going through the Bible, and we're going to find out what's going on, because we got to precept this Bible in its entirety, which we're going to be going from Genesis, and we're going to march all the way through Revelations. On the end of that, you can turn that into an EPUB to where you have that on your e-reader, your iPads, your computer, to where you will clearly understand what the Bible is saying. So that's what we're doing. So let me get my mug out the way. And what we're going to look at here, we looked at so far what we have went through. We have went through Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and you see the verses that are being precepted right here, and we see what's going on. So what we're looking at, and then what I also did with mine, where I put everything where the Most High has spoken, I actually turned it into blue. That's what I've done. So everywhere where he speak, I turned it into blue. Then what we also did, I bold, which you can do it. Remember, this is your Bible, so you do it the way that you want, the one that you're doing with it along with me. I put void to where we're going to explain what void means. We're explaining what darkness means. And we're showing you what those mean, and it's based on those revelations and as we go through. So as we went through, we got down, and we get down to verse 6, and same thing. We found out that the firmament is actually called clouds in heaven, showing why it was separated. It's in the midst of the water, which is showing the net separation. Also on the spiritual side, which is the separation of knowledge. So we found out that also. Same thing where we go over, it was some that trickled over from the 6th verse that we see up here. I'm going to see if I can adjust that to where I can get it all under one, but if not, I'm not really personally going to worry about it. But we're going through, and we got to 7. We went through 7, and we seen the same thing here. Verse 8, we seen we was going thing. Verse 9, he let the waters under the heaven be gathered together, and let the dry land appear. And it was so, and we found out through the wisdom how he gathered together what it actually means. Earth and ground, we put that together as well. We got to verse 10 yesterday, and this is where we finished off and where we're going to continue. But if we're not going to continue on 10, because 10 was actually completed. So what we're going to do, we're going to crank this up, and we're going to actually start on verse 11. I know a lot of people want to go through this verse, and because actually I teach on this verse, and what actually happens as I do this one, we have to understand one thing with this verse. We have to understand one thing with this verse. This verse speaks a lot. However, we still need to make some adjustments right here as we go down, and this is why you always take the time to see what is going on. This is why it's very important, because one thing we forgot to do was to put this here, and we want to do this here. We want to make sure that is there. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that and put a period there. So this is why I say we take our time because we don't want to have to go back after we done went so far ahead to make those mistakes and try to correct them. So do that, save it, and now we get into Genesis 11. And as you know, what I always do, we read it, and then we're also going to put the verses in, and we got to check the verses and make sure they're correct. So everybody, we're going to go through this, and now we're going to look at it. It says in verse 11, it says, "And Yahweh said, let the earth bring forth grass." I know a lot of people, I know you're anxious, and I know some of my students in the class, I know they want this. I'm talking about they probably just dripping down, just, come on, elder, just tell me. But we're going to get to it. It says, "Bring forth grass and herb yielding seed, and fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth," and it was so. This is the good part, where this is actually speaking a lot of deep sayings, a whole lot of spiritual sayings, but it has a carnal side to where we can understand what it's saying to give us an understanding of the verse. So what we're going to do, we got to go here and we're going to start precepting this, but I want to put that down there, and we're going to start going through this because we need to understand the verse. We have to understand what it means. If we don't understand what it means, then we won't understand what the book is actually trying to tell us. Now, as we doing, as I always told you, we doing foundational precepts to understand the Bible. I'm not putting a lot of spiritual meanings and deeper sayings in here because it'll run us through a whole lot of other things. But right now we're doing foundational precepts to where you can understand the book in its entirety and what it's saying. So the first one we're going to do Job, and we're going to do 525. 525. And we have to see that. We have to see what that says. And actually I need to space that. Job 525. And let's look, and we need to see what this is saying. So Job 525. Let me crank that one up. And it says, "Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, in thy offspring as grass of the earth." Why is it focusing so much on grass? See, because we have to remember, grass, if the Most High made it so important on grass, why is he focusing on it right now, just grass? It makes no sense. So it's have a whole total spiritual side to this. But we have to try to work through it to get the understanding to where we can get the carnal side on why he's saying it in this manner, to where we can flip it and understand what he's saying. Because in grass, we found out here where he's talking about grass of the earth and offspring. So offspring is not talking about physical grass. Offspring is actually talking about people, as we're going to continually go through here. So we have to unravel some of this. So we got to go to some of the main parts on where they really didn't want people to have, but we got to go through the Apocrypha. We have to go through the Apocrypha. And we're going to look at some stuff here. We're going to look at some stuff right here. And we're going to see what it says right there. The Apocrypha, it says, "Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy." What is this saying? What is this saying? It's going to clear it all up, but that verse has to be there. That's the crazy part. Because most people will say, that don't say anything. That don't explain anything. "Wherefore, when he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen," this is a spiritual side of the verse. Which grass is the same thing, it's a great multitude. But we're not going to go through this too far. But we're going to sit there and we're going to get some clarification. So we're going to put in Psalms 103 in verse 15. Psalms 103 verse 15. Let's look at what this says, because it's going to start honing in now. It says, as comparison, as for men, his days are as grass. So our lives and our lifespan is being compared as grass. As, another comparison, a flower of the field, so he flourishes. So we being compared to flowers and grass. But are all people being compared the same way? Because he separated, so he did flowers and he did grass. Keep that in mind. We have verse 4, 104 and 14. We need to understand what that means. Understand what that means, because now we're going to start doing something in 1 second. It says, he causes the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man. So this is clearing up some stuff for you. How can grass service man? Think about it. All people do, and all your husbands and all wives do, you cut the grass, you bag it up, you throw it away. But it's saying here, service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. So we know this grass is going to do a work to bring food for man, but it actually got switched over. But that's something else to where we don't want to get off what we're doing. So what happened? Something happened. Let me move this up some, because we have to put something in here now. We have to get some understanding here now, because something happened. And what we have to do, put this in there. You got seed mixing. This is definitely what you have to do. Definitely what you have to do. Seed mixing. And I'm a highlight mine. I'm a highlight mine. I don't know if you're going to do yours, but I'm going to highlight mine for a reason. Because now I'm going to put in Leviticus 26 and 16. 26 and 16. Why? Because we get ready to find out something. Seed mixing. Because if grass has seeds, and seeds cannot be mixed. So let's look at this. It says, and also will I do this unto you. Even I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and burning age, that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sorrow your seed in vain. You should sow your seed in vain. Wow. For your enemies shall eat it. This is starting to come in a little bit closer now, huh? But that's okay. We got to come in closer, because guess what? We need some more to explain this, because many of us will not still clearly understand the verse. So we have to do more to bring it home. We have to do more to bring it home. So for foundational, we have to do what it takes to bring this home. Now, we got to go to Isaiah 37, verse 27. It says, therefore, their inhabitants, so where they're residing, were of small power. They were diminished and confounded. They were diminished and confounded. So you know this right here is talking about who? It's talking about Israel, but that's beside the point. Because therefore their inhabitants were small power, where they were dismayed and confounded. And watch this. They were as grass of the field, as green herb, as grass on the housetops, and corn and as corn blasted before be grown up. And many of the children was taken when they was, I'm talking very young. But that's beside the point. We just trying to understand the verse right now. So we need to understand a little bit more. We got to go to chapter 40 in verse 6 and 7 to try to get some more understanding. because we need to hone in on this verse. We need to hone in on it. And it says in Isaiah 46 and 7, it says, the voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass. And all goodness thereof as. So all goodness thereof is as what? The flower. It's still showing the separation. Some will be in the flower, some is being as grass. So it says flower of the field. But watch this. The grass withereth, so these people withereth, the flower fadeth. You see it, it's showing the separation. Because the spirit of Yahweh blow upon it, surely people is grass. If you don't get that, I don't know what to tell you. But guess what? We still know some people are not going to understand it. So we have to hone in on it more. Most people, we have to hone in on this more. So we got to go to Isaiah 51 and verse 12. Isaiah 51 and verse 12. As we precept in our Bibles, we got to make sure we know what's going on. And it says, I, even I, am he that confronted you, who confronteth you. Who art thou, that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die? And of the Son of Man, which shall be made as grass? This is honing in on you. This is honing in on you. But guess what? We need more. We need more to still understand, because some people are not going to still get it. So we have to make sure you have those foundationals to get it. Let's go to Daniel. Daniel 4 and 14. It says, nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with the band of irons and brass in the tender grass of the field. And let it be wet with dew of heaven. And let his portion be with the beasts of the grass of the earth. I'm talking about, he threw a whole spiritual side at you, and it was unreal. But you go over that, and I guarantee you're gonna start understanding that, because some people are gonna automatically be able to flip this into the spiritual side, because it's telling you even the mix. But he's saying, but the tender grass of the field, let it be wet with dew of heaven, because we had lost our way. So with that dew of heaven, talking about that knowledge that's coming down, but that's on something else. That's on something else. Let's get our knowledge. I got to get my teaching out the way and be quiet and just do what I'm supposed to be doing. So we're gonna go to 1 Peter 1:24. 1:24. 1 Peter 1:24. And let's see what this is saying. 1 Peter 1:24. Let's see what this says. And it says, for all flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as flowers of grass. The grass withereth, and the flower thereof fadeth away. We already have Old Testament verses that's actually repeating the same thing. Repeating the same identical thing. But guess what? We're not even done. We still have to put some more in here. We have Revelations 9 and verse 4. We have Revelation 9 and verse 4 to get this understanding. It says, and it was commanded that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men. You see how it went from grass and then it switched to men? It was immediately grass, but then it immediately switched to men. He's telling you what it is. Which have not seal of God, their foreheads. Are you getting this? This is why it's so important. This is why it's so important. Precepts are so important. But guess what? We have to do. We have herbs, and we need to clear this. So I'm gonna highlight mine. I'm gonna highlight that too. I'm gonna highlight that one too because I want to explain that one, and I'm gonna highlight it so I know what it is. And this is what it says. We're gonna go to Psalms 104 in verse 14. We need to see what that means. We want to know what herb means. What herbs mean. We want to know what it means. It says, he causes the grass to grow for the cattle. All spiritual. All spiritual. For the cattle and herb for the service of man. Did we not just read this? Why? Because the same part as this one here. But this is the same part. So you have to keep it there because this explains what that is. Let's move a little bit more. Now this is torment. We need to do this. Why? We have to do this torment Israel. This is actually taking something in the spiritual and flipping it to the natural. Why? We have to do that to where you can know what the verse is actually saying. We're going to look at 2 Maccabees 7 and 17. Why we did that? Because we have to take it out of the spiritual and put it right into the natural. Why? Because it's going to tell you a lot of things. It says, but abide a while and behold his great power, how he will torment thee in thy seed. Meaning what? In thy seed of your own kind. Why? Because in this next verse, it's going to explain a whole lot of stuff. It's going to explain a whole lot of stuff. Mine jumped. And I'm going to see if I can bring some of it back. But I see it will not. Actually, that verse won't all come up. Yep, I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to keep it there and I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to see if I can adjust that later to where I can do this. So now we're going to go over and we're going to look at verse 12. And we're going to go to verse 12 and we're going to start looking at this one. So we need verse 12 and now verse 12 has a lot of information, which is going to actually clear up anything that you missed in verse 11. And what we're going to do, we're going to look at Genesis 3 and 15. Genesis 3 and 15. And what it says. What it says, Genesis 3 and 15. It tells you. First, we're going to look at in the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, in the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in itself after his kind, and Yahweh saw that it was good. Now watch the closeness of this. And Yahweh said, let the earth bring forth seed yielding fruit after his kind. And we're going to sit there and we're going to bring all this to where I made sure where I can come back and I can color this because I know I needed to make sure one part. But so we doing this, but we know it's after his kind whose seed is in itself. It's going to make a whole lot of sense to where we're going to clear up everything here because he's telling you right here. In the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, in the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. So once he says here, and why you don't put some of those verses that we're going to put here, because he's telling you what he's basically getting ready to do, and then right here it happened. Are you following me? Are you following me? The reason why you don't put some of these precepts in the precepts we're going to put here up here is because he's telling you what he's getting ready to do. He said something, and once he said this, and then you see it happen. Are you following me? That's why you don't do this. So let's look at Genesis 3 and 15. And it says, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. You see that? This is this part. So now we know it's talking about these seeds. But now we need these seeds yielding that set. So he's already separating these seeds. He has to already separate these seeds. So let's see what he did. So we got to go to Genesis 7 and 3. As we precept him, this is how we start getting the foundational to understand what the Bible is saying. Now we're going to understand this. Watch how this works. Genesis 7 and 3. It says, of fowls also of the air by 7, the male and the female, to keep seed, what? To keep them in that species alive upon the face of all the earth. So those fowls of the air by 7s is talking about, but they to keep the seed of what they are and how they were constructed and what they are. And they have seeds within themselves. So long as they're mating with the same seed, they're going to continue to keep that line going. That's what this is actually explaining. That's why it's saying right there, right here, it says, in the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind. So you cannot mix the seed. So it's the same thing. You can't take a grapefruit seed and you mix it with another seed, and you want to, and say like with a pomegranate, and you trying to mix a grapefruit and a pomegranate, and then you got a weird fruit. You know, they do this. They experiment with these things and fruits and stuff like that, and do that. They have a tree out there that yields 7 different types of fruit on this one tree. That's an abomination tree. That tree is of abomination. That's something you shouldn't even have. But this is the same thing. It's telling you, and he in the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and God saw it was good. So those fowls of the air was to keep seed. But we have another one. We're going to go to 9 and 9. And we're going to get some more clarification. We're going to go to 9 and 9 and get some more clarification. It says, and I, behold, I established my covenant. So he established the law. He established his covenant with you and with your seed after you. So this was set in stone. Most people don't even know that's sitting there saying that. This was set in stone. That's the covenant with the seed, to where we're not to mix seeds. We need another one. We're going to look at Daniel. We're going to look at 9 and verse 1. 9 and verse 1. And then we got another one that goes right behind that, where we're going to see even more. 9 and verse 1. Let's see what this says. And it says, in the first year of Darius, the son of Eurexius, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over all the realm of the Chaldeans. So what is this saying? See, most people don't even know Darius was from the seed of Japhet. Most people don't even know that. They'll sit there and run all over the place, and they'll run outside the book, and they'll go pull him from somewhere else. But Darius is from the seed of Japhet. That's where he's from. This is the problem. But we're going to keep moving. Get my teaching out the way. We're going to also put in 2 and 43. So So it looks kind of crazy, but it's going backwards. But just keep it in that order. I hope that you do. But if you want to change it your way, that's your Bible. And it says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with merry clay, watch this, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. What is this saying? Watch how clear this is going to get. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Colon. Now watch this. But they shall not cleave one to another. Why? Even as iron is not mixed with clay. This I'm talking about is like a Mike Tyson slap. It's saying the same thing. If you mix the seed and something start going down, it's the same way as iron and clay don't mix. It's verse telling you the same thing. You have to take your mind out of what you see and understand what the Bible is saying. You have to understand what the Bible is saying. So now we're going to understand how some of this works. We're going to find out how some of this works within it. So now we're going to put it in within copulation. We're going to put that, and that means sexual acts. We need that. Why? Because we're going to explain that. And then it says itself. Why are we doing this? Because when you want to make sure that you understand the book, you want to make sure you're not being deceived in any way. In 1 second, I want to make sure that is bold for a reason. Why? Because we getting ready to explain this. Let's look at this. Let's go to Leviticus. We're going to go to 15 and 16. Leviticus 15 and 16. And we're going to see, actually, I'm going to do another one because I'm going to put another verse there. But let's look at this right now. Leviticus 15 and 16. And it says, and if any man's seed of copulation go out from him. This is explaining what this is. Then shall he wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until even. We already know what even means. Until the next day. He's unclean until the next day. How do we know this? We already precept that. We already had a foundation of it. So he's unclean until the next day. But watch this. Verse 18. We got to put verse 18 in there also. So verse 18, and we got to see what it says. And we're going to see what this is talking about, and it's going to get to the same thing. Watch this. The woman also with whom man shall lie with, seed of copulation, meaning that transferring of sperm, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the next day, until even. It's clearing this completely for you. This is why precepts work so good for you. This is why we're doing the foundational precepts that you need. This is what it's saying. But we still have to explain more of this verse. So we're going to go to 2nd Esdras. We're going to look at something. 644. 2nd Esdras 644. 2nd Esdras 644. Let's see what this says. It says, for immediately there was a great innumerable fruit. Innumerable fruit. Really, and many and divers pleasures for the taste. Now watch how it flips this. In flowers of unchangeable color, in odors of wonderful smell, And this was done the third day. This don't even, it's crazy. Watch this. But watch this. 2 Esdras 2:18. 18. Watch this. For thy help I will send my servant Essay and Jeremy. That's those two witnesses that's going to come that it speaks of. People like to sit there and lie to you and tell you some if they on the earth now. No, they're going to come because they're going to be killed. However, they sitting there talking about they're going to be killed, then they're going to die, they're going to come back. They died already and they're going to come back again. They're talking craziness and they're going to get killed again. That's silliness. The Bible don't even works in that way. But it's telling you whose counsel and have sanctified and prepared for thee 12 trees laden with diverse fruit. Diverse fruit from those seeds. From those seeds, that's what's going to happen. Clear scripture. But we're going to put something in here where I know a lot of people are going to get very, very uncomfortable. Not to mix seeds. This is one I know most people do not like, and you got to see this was set up from the beginning. This is the problem. So we're going to look at some things here. We're going to look at Sirach 26 and 20. 26 and 20. We need to see that. Because he says not to mix seed, and he's saying this from the beginning. It says, when thou hast gotten a fruitful possession throughout all the field. So out of all the field that you see out there, you're going to get your possession. Your wife, the one that you're going to lay with. That's what this is saying. But watch what happens. Sow it with thy own seed. Don't go outside that line. Stay with that seed. Trusting in the goodness of thy stock. Not going outside the line. You don't see a crow mixing with a vulture. You don't see a crow mixing with a hawk. You don't see a hawk mixing with a pigeon. You have all these different species of monkeys. You don't see a orangutan mixing with a gorilla. Everybody, all these animals do within what they do within their line, but we're so silly, we mix with everything. Anything. You mean monkeys got more sense than we do? Let me get out. I'm getting in teaching mode. I got to keep slapping myself to get out that teaching mode. But 44 in verse 11. 44 in verse 11. We got to look at this. It says, with their seeds shall continually remain a good inheritance. Because you got to keep that seed pure. And their children are within the covenant. Then you keep your children within the covenant. No seed mixing. It's clear as day. Clear as day. Listen, but we got more. We have more here. To make sure, I know this already done drove it, and I know, but some people, you pick your jaws up, but it's all right here in the Bible, and we're going to look at this. And we got to see what this is saying. Deuteronomy 22 in verse 9. We got to understand what this. It says, thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds. You can't mix the seed. Meaning what? You can't be sitting there saying, well, I'm Israel, but I'm going to go mix my seed over here. He's telling you bluntly in the law. It's not saying you being a racist. It's not saying anything on either side part. He's saying you don't mix the seed. You might have friends of another nation. He's saying don't mix the seed. You see dogs have friends as cats, and they live in the same house. But you don't see them mixing seed. You see a parrot be cool with another bird. You don't see it mixing seed. But we supposed to have intelligence, and we do everything according not of the law. So what it says, and it says, and thou shalt not sow thy vineyard. So our bodies, our vineyard with diverse seeds. Least the fruit of thy seed which thou have sown. Now that seed that you sown in that way shouldn't have been doing. That fruit of that vineyard, of that part where you put it in, because that part is a vineyard, be defiled. Now you done put your seed in someone else where it shouldn't have been, and now that vineyard is defiled. But guess what? We got more to go. More to go. We got to go to 2 Maccabees 12 and 27. 12 and 27. And just think, it's plenty more than this. We just getting foundational precepts to understand what these verses are saying. That's all we doing. We just getting foundational. This is why you don't use the relationals on what you see in your regular Thompson chain Bibles, all that kind of stuff they like to use, because it don't explain the verse. You need the verse explained according to precepts. So we're going to look at this. It's in the 2 Maccabees. We're going to look at that one in the 2 Maccabees 12:27. It says, and after he had put to flight and destroyed them, Judith removed the host towards Ephraim, a strong city, wherein Ulysses aboded, and a great multitude of diverse nations. So it's a great multitude of mixed people everywhere. And a strong and young man kept the wall and defended them mightily, wherein also was great provision of engines and darts. Meaning what? You have to see that great multitude of diverse nations. Same thing, diverse fruits, diverse seeds. Is telling you exactly what was out there. Exactly what was out there. We need another verse. We need another verse to explain that verse to help more. Let's look at Leviticus. We got to go back to the law. 19 and 19. 19 and 19. To get what? To get what? Let's look at it. It says, ye shall keep my statutes. So we have to keep them. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with diverse kind. He's clear. Now, you see how he went to a dang animal. If he's telling the animal don't mix, what do you think he's telling you? He goes in more. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seeds. Don't you mingle a seed, because they have seeds within themselves, and they have those within themselves, and you have yours within yourself. Neither shall a garment mingle of linen and woolen come upon thee. Don't be mixing nothing. It's clear as day. Why? Because it has yielding seed after his kind. It's already there. In the fruit yielding seed, whose seed was in itself. It's telling you everything. And we do nothing. We sit there and overlook this. This is why this is so important. We have to do this. It's so important. Let's look at another one. Going to my main man, Idris. We're going to 1 Esdras 8 and 70. 8 and 70. I told you, a lot of people, this verse is hard for a lot of people. But you got to understand who the Most High is. It says, for both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed, understand clear, the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and great men have partakers of this iniquity. They mixed it is sin. What part are we missing? What part are we missing? We have to understand what we're doing. But it's even more to it. Esdras literally breaks it down for you, a lot of it. We're going to go to 8 and 84. But guess what? This goes to 88. This goes to 88. Yeah, he had a lot to say. So we got to look at this and we're going to read it. We're going to see what it says. It says, therefore, now shall ye not join your daughters clear unto their sons, neither shall ye take their daughters unto your sons. But you say you hold to the Bible, but you don't hold to this. You say you believe everything that the Most High commanded, but you don't believe this. This is why they took this out. Esdras and Ezra in those people 66 Bible book is the same person. Ezra and Esdras is the same person. You can actually go look at it. It's gonna show you just that. But watch this, verse 85. Moreover, you shall never seek to have peace with them. So you never seek to have peace. So never have your trust in them thinking that you're going to have peace with them. That ye may be strong and eat the good things of the land. That ye may leave the inheritance, the seed of the land unto your children forevermore. But it goes on more. Verse 86. And all that is been fallen is done upon us for our wicked works in great sin. Why? Because of what we were doing. O Yahweh, thou doest our sins light. Verse 87. Thou doest give unto us such a root, but we have turned back again to sin, to transgress the law. Why? And to mingle ourselves with the uncleanness of the nations of the land. And everybody don't even want to look at this. Are you serious? And it got more. One more verse. Verse 88. Mightiest, not thou be angry with us to destroy us until thou hast left us neither root, seed, nor name. Because they already told you in Psalms 83 to where that the name Israel be no more in existence. How are they going to do it? By mixing the seed. This is clear as day. But we have another verse. We have another verse. Cursed. Cursed seed. Cursed seed. What does that mean? What do that mean in this term? And we're going to find out. We literally getting ready to find out. We're going to use the wisdom of Solomon. And if you ever notice how people never go to Songs of Solomon and he's supposed to be the wisest man in the world, but nobody never teaches from him. Have you ever noticed that? But that's just something. This just a thought. Just a thought. Just a thought. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So let's go to the wisdom of Solomon. We're going to understand something. Wisdom of Solomon. It says, "For it was a cursed seed from the beginning." It was a cursed seed from the beginning. Meaning what? It didn't have the law. So if it don't have the law, whatever it's not written on is cursed. I know that's something for you guys to think about. I know it's hard for some people to think about. I know some people don't like it, but guess what? You can like it or dislike it, and he don't care. His word is his word. But watch, it goes on more. It says, neither doest thou for fear of any man give them pardon for those wherein they sin. This is what is happening. This is what is happening. This is your foundationals just in 2 verses. In 2 verses, we have the foundationals. So we're going to be picking this up on Monday, and then Monday, what we're going to do, we're going to start this back through, and we're going to come through, and we're going to make sure everything that we have to where you can see what's going on. Make sure, if you haven't joined with us, you can actually go over to the Moab.com. You can actually purchase that same file that we're doing, and it's just low. I come in the volume of the book with Elder Johnson. You can go over there and get the file to where you can start precepting the verse right along with us. And what we're going to do, we're marching. It's going to take about a 2.5-3 year deal, but probably going to be a little bit sooner. But I'm just doing it far out, just letting you know, because once we get past verse 4, it's actually going to move pretty quick. Because right now you have to remember, when you're setting things up, those foundations, the same as he done, it takes a minute because he's setting the foundation. Once that foundation is set, then everything kind of moves pretty quick. So if you want to get in and make sure you want to join with it, go over there to the Moab and make sure right there you can go right there. In 1 second, I had that one part off, but you just go over there and then you just get that file, and you can actually go through some of the other teaching we already have, where you see 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you just mark it, catch up, and then we'll just start. We have files for Macs and ones for PCs, so you're more than welcome. You can walk through this with us all together, get the file, and we're going to go through this. We're going to actually to where you can precept your own Bible, and what's going to happen, you're going to convert this over to an EPUB. Once you convert it over to an EPUB, you can put it on all your digital devices, or you can convert it into a PDF and put it on your devices, but it's yours, and it's precept out to where you can actually now not looking at where they're running you to these false verses, and it's saying something, but then you go somewhere and it's saying something else, and now it puts you on a bunch of confusion, because now you don't even know you actually forgot what you're looking for. When you're sitting there and you reading the verse, and now you want to know what that verse is saying, you had a precept where it's going to actually go and it's going to explain the verse. That's what we're doing. But precept must be upon precept. This is why it's so important. This is why you are to do this in that fashion. This is why it's very important the way you do this. So this is why you want to make sure what you do here is the main thing and what we're going to continually do. So hopefully we're going through. Hopefully you go and you join with us, because I'm going to tell you right now, and this is a guarantee, you will not find a precept Bible nowhere. On the face of this earth, nowhere. So hopefully that you will join with us. Hopefully that you will continue to watch and go through Precept in the Bible along with us. So until then, until next time, I say shalom.